is now live. Multi-streaming with
Damn, I'm in the PU, aren't I? Son of a bitch. Okay, let's fix that. Alrighty, let's go back in here and exit and we'll load the PU. PTU, how's that? Let's load the PTU. Virtual desktop, live, PTU, launch game. They did a wipe. Time they do a wipe, that happens. Okay. I am on the mirror so you guys can see all that crap. Alright. We'll load it back up here. Forgot I didn't switch it over. Now we're up and going. Now we're on the right server. Alright, they didn't do a complete wipe, update, but they did do a wipe, I'm pretty sure. Probably means I'm back into everything I should have been. Well, as you'll notice that my screen is curved, that's the way I got it set up. I can show you how to do that real quick. Although you don't need to be running Oculus mirror like I am right now. The only thing is when I run the Oculus mirror you can see my vorpX control panels. Oh. Okay, they did not wipe. I wonder why it said bad token. Usually they do a wipe when that happens. Okay, first thing we'll do is we will show you, especially Cyrus asked me a few questions. See where it says here more stereo 3D settings? What you want to do is click this on. Bop, 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 bop. Let me see where it's at. More immersive screen settings. Screen curvature, how much it curves in and out on the sides. Screen tilt, I leave it 0. I don't see where you need to tilt the screen, but you can. Offset distance is how far it moves it in and out. I have it moved out, so when my head tracking is centered, I cannot see the edges of my screen to the left and right. I can barely see the top and bottom. That's how I have found that I like it. Curved screen vertical on. Screen curvature 1. And there should be one for top and bottom because it's curved both directions. And I don't see it, so I don't understand. Huh. But I am curved in both directions, as you can tell. Pop up. Background. Now, you can set it to ambience, where the main color inside your, as you see, it changes the outside that I'm looking at, so the edges show up basically the same color. I usually don't pay any attention to the edges of the screen, but you can put it on ambience. It doesn't give you a frame rate hit or anything like that. It's all depends what you want. As I said, in FPS mode like this, Xbox One controller, I find that it allows me to go from this to that. I have dual joysticks, as you can see. I can move them. And then I can just pick up the Xbox controller here. And as I'm looking straight ahead, I cannot see the edges of my screen until I look, pretty good distance before I can pick up the edges of the screen. And what this allows me to do, you can only do this in immersive mode, is what it allows me to do is not have to edge peek like this to be able to read stuff on the side of my menus. This game is not designed for VR, so the menus, you cannot see them right, so you have to edge peek it out to be able to see them. But here, when I look left and right, I can actually read everything clearly by putting it in the center of my focus, and that includes game chat, which I do not use very often because it's just a pain in the ass to lift off the headset and type in chat. Now, you can do such a thing. I am sure I could find me a program that would type text to speech or speech to text, and I could probably get a program that would allow me to talk and in chat and type. I got enough crap running. It's not that important to me when I'm with somebody who usually uses Discord. So that eliminates the problem that I need to talk in game chat. Now, if I happen to see something, I will respond. And like I say, I'm pretty much like I have to lift off my headset to see my keyboard. I suppose super typing person doesn't have to do that. Could just reach up there and know where the keys are at. I'm not that good of a typer. So I do it my way. And like I say, I don't really reply to game chat very seldomly. Will I bother? And while we're here, and like I say, there's the best 3D in the game, make no mistake about it, they've got it turned back on, is to, let's get this down here, 3D setting, I'm using Z normal, which is 3D, but it's weak, if that makes sense. However, if you want to go to geometry, you can, and you can put the strength way up. Now this is just about, I have it at minimum, and there's a lot of 3D. They claim 1 is the most natural, but boy is it really 3D. Which is okay if that's what you want. And you can tell the difference now between 3D geometry and Z normal buffer, or even Z adaptive. What Z adaptive does for you is it only 3Ds the center of your screen. Yeah, change view. Change view. I forgot to start vorpX, didn't I? Yes, I did. How about that? Well, let's take care of this real quick. We'll turn it back on. Somebody forgot to start it. I won't mention any names. And you know, I should have just tabbed out into virtual desktop and started, but this will work just fine. Okay, now it should be loading here. Come on, there it goes. Okay, it's now loaded. There we go. Mobile glass. And that's the trouble in 3D geometry. It white screens. Now it does not just white screen my HMD, it white screens my my monitor too. I have double checked and I lift off my HMD and I got a white screen up there. Now I don't know what's causing it. I have not been able to find it. Didn't never do that in the past. It does it now. Mobile glass.
Open mobile glass.
And you can shut it out and you'll have to give the brightness because your eyeballs will have to readjust after getting whited out. And you can go out on a planet and you can play with the 3D and you can actually pull rocks off the ground. You got so much 3D. Ships that do not have a lot of 3D naturally will have a lot of 3D with geometry. Even the Avenger Titan, which in Z normal buffer doesn't have a lot of 3D, it has a whole lot more in geometry just because even a flat screen does have some depth. A flat panel like the Avenger Titan has. However, because of the mobile glass issue that I have not been able to solve, it's something in the game itself. It should not affect your monitor at all. When you use the mobile glass, when it white screens, but it does. So it's something in the coding that is causing that to happen. So pretty much it's fun to mess around in 3D geometry. You'll take a big frame rate hit, but it's not really playable at this time for that reason. You can go out, fly your ship around, you can walk around like I'm doing here with all the 3D in it you want. Like I say, you can do some weird things with 3D geometry. However, it's pretty much useless for actual gameplay because it will just white screen as soon as you use your mobile glass, and this game is very dependent on it. So there you have it. So we'll go back here to, and Z Adaptive, what it does is just the center of your screen is 3D. It's not more than Z Normal. It just doesn't do anything to the outside edges. It just, you can notice it most when you're in third person view. Change view.
Roger
Change
that.
view. Change view.
Roger
And
that.
now you can actually
Roger
see
that.
that your character is 3D. Change view.
Roger that.
Change view.
Roger that.
But see, you'll see that it's actually pull your character 3D, and you can see more 3D, but it's just in the center of your screen versus to the sides. But Z Normal does the same thing as this, just all over. So we'll go back, and we'll just put it back on normal. And you can even tell by looking here in Z Normal that your character is 3D. It's just not real, like, it's not real pronounced like you get in geometry, where you can pull a lot more depth out of the game. But in Z Normal, and like I say, I would play in 3D geometry if it was not for the white screen I get in the mobile glass now. Even with the frame rate hit, it runs good enough for me with my tricks that I do have plenty enough frame rates, except when it really gets bad, the server goes bad for everybody. Then of course it's just miserable in 3D. But until I can figure out the white screen, or they do something different with their coding, to me it's just not playable for that reason. I do not want to have to be able to keep switching, going into vorpX menu and switching out geometry to normal Z buffer to be able to play the game. Okay, change view. Change view.
Roger that.
Alright, now the thing about it is, when you're here in FPS mode, is you feel like you are your character. You really do. Even with using immersive mode, and I can move over the edges of my screen, it does not distract me, because it's either perfectly black, or like now I have it set to ambience. You don't notice it. But see, the head tracking, it is one of the most, being in your hand, it's one of the most immersive things. You have to get it working right. Once you get your head tracking work, it changes everything. Being in VR like this, or pseudo VR, or whatever you want to call it, without head tracking, it's not very immersive, of course. But when you look around and you do what you want, hell, I can even make my head bob if I want to set it up that way to make myself crouch or prone. To me, it's just a pain in the ass, because I'll bob my head, not mean to, and the damn I'll go to a prone position. But see, I can do all that with my keyboard. I don't need to do, I mean, not the keyboard, with my Xbox 360 controller. I can crouch, I can do all that stuff. I can't pull my weapon here because we're in LSR, but I can jump. I can use all my function keys. This door is going to open anyway. We'll go to Airlock here, but see, just how you set things up. As you can see, there's my function key. Now, I can look around with my head tracking. We just disconnect it. Okay, you have been disconnected. You have 2 minutes before the client shuts down. It's not a 30K order, so don't know what the problem is here. Let's find out. We'll reload it. Okay, we're back on the virtual desktop, so let's just relaunch, see what happened here. Possible they're pushing a patch. It does that on occasion. If they do happen to push a patch while I'm online, it just shuts down. We'll see if it loads right back in. It wasn't a 30K disconnect, so that's normally what happens. But it could have been a 30K. That wasn't the error code we got. Such is life. Like I say, being in VR is irrelevant as far as the crashes, 30K disconnects, all that stuff. It's going to happen anyway. Now, it's taking awful long to load back in, so it may be a case that they are pushing a patch. We'll give it a couple more seconds here, and then we'll back out all the way. And my guess is they're doing something server side. Don't know what it is, but let's take a look here. Because it should have loaded in by now. And it's not. Alright, so we're going to shut her down. We'll double check here. There it goes. Error code services again. So, we're going to shut her down completely here. I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to try to shut it down. Doesn't want to shut down. So they are probably pushing a patch. Okay, we shut it down manually. Let's see what happens here. 222, we'll reload the launcher. PTU. Give it a second. See if it's going to update. Doesn't look like it. Try a relaunch. They're playing with it on the server side. Not a biggie. Is Star Citizen. See if it loads in. It may not want to load in. If it doesn't, it's probably because they are pushing a patch. Yes. So we're going to take a break here because obviously, for whatever reason, we can't. The server shut us out and won't let us back in. So we're just going to call it quits here and see if they push an update. We'll be back in a little bit.